So this is a 4.2 litre with TVR big valve heads, much bigger inlet runners and a much bigger throttle body. Standard cam though, gets very low oil pressure at idle. But we had it on the rolling road, you might have seen the video. It made 206 horsepower. So the next thing to go in, I will show you. So this is the remainder of the TVR engine. It's actually a 4.6 bottom end from a TVR 450 with top hat liners. We think it's a V8 Developments engine. Only about 22,000 miles on it. Tony found it in a scrapyard. So it's got pocketed pistons for the valves, but the TVR bits are on that 4.2 engine. So this one's going in with a standard top end. So the only real upgrade is possibly a slightly higher compression based on those pistons, but we don't really know.
And bigger capacity.
And of course bigger capacity, isn't it?
Same camshaft as the 4.2.
Yeah, okay. So for the time being, we're putting this in as a bigger capacity, 4.6, maybe higher compression, but otherwise standard, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we still have the headers on there as well.
Yeah.
So we should see a torque increase, definitely. If not, maybe a power increase, depending on the health of that engine and so on, we'll see. And then eventually, hopefully I can talk Tony into putting the TVR heads, all the TVR bits back together basically, and making a whopper of an engine, right? So down here we've got the TVR top end on a 4.2 engine, which has had the Tornado Systems ECU done. But we think it's in bad health, don't we? The crankshaft is perhaps
worn out.
Worn out. The oil pressure is very low at idle.
Good heads here.
Yes.
And look, this is the TVR manifold, but the SD1 injectors mounted on a TVR manifold. You can say it's TVR because there's no extra air valve system here.
So we've taken that one out, we have swapped a few parts over, the gearbox is on now and we're ready to drop this engine in and we'll switch back to time lapse. I don't know if we're going to get it done today, but we'll certainly get it in the car, anyway that's the plan.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. It's on there.
Oh yeah.
On that one.
Oh yeah.
On that one.
Oh yeah.
On that one, yeah.
Took its time.
Yeah, it did take its time.
Yeah, looks like the rock shelves in a very good condition, aren't they?
I think that's what it is, yeah.
Tight, that's what it is.
Yeah. Alright, shall we call it there?
Yeah.
With Tony, it's another day now, and he's had help from another friend putting lots of things back on the engine. So it's all built up now, and we had a little bit of a sort of throttle potentiometer issue this morning. We've solved that now, so I think we're about to start it. What are your thoughts, Tony? Are you excited?
I'm very apprehensive.
Yeah, me too.
I'm old and very hesitant, but I've got confidence with my mate here.
Well, we checked the fuel lines, haven't we? We've just powered the fuel pump up, so that all looks good. We've done the timing, we've primed the engine, so, well, the static timing at least. I think it's time.
Okay.
I think it's time.
Let's give it a whirl.
Pairing beautifully. What do you think, Tony? Yeah. It's. I think it's running better. Do you think it's running better than ever before? It's really running nicely, isn't it?
Yeah. Very nice.
So here we got a 4.6 TVR engine, bottom end anyway, standard head, standard cam, 4.6 plenum, Jag 4.2 flapper, and a cone filter. A lot of stuff has been removed and simplified. Exhaust headers too. So we only found 206 horsepower with Tony's 4.2, and a lot of people were saying that was a little low. So I'm wondering now, the way this runs so sweet, I'm wondering if that engine had some health issues. Dismantled the 4.2 litre engine, and we found the problem in here. There's a lot of pitting from rust. The rest of the block is great, but obviously water got in this while it was sat years and years ago, and someone has had a go at cleaning it up there, but the pitting is never going to work. That pitting there will always leak a lot of compression. So this one cylinder, the other 7 were probably delivering the goods, but this cylinder was what dropped our power. So 205 horsepower I think we got out of this 4.2, but with all those TVR bits it should have been more, and that's our culprit right there. So unfortunately this block is now suffering low oil pressure, so the crank is probably on its way out. The bores are shagged, so it's a bit of a dead engine really, which is unfortunate. Interesting there. Interesting. So I can't wait to get this on and see how it goes. Thanks for having us along, Tony.
Yeah, thanks, Lawrence.
So 212 horsepower from the 4.6, but I've got to highlight again, standard everything really, except the exhaust headers. It's just a much larger engine, but look at that huge hike in torque over the pink line, the red line being the torque of the 4.6. The blue line is the power of the 4.6, and again a pretty chunky 10% or more hike in power, right the way up to 4,000 revs, and then the difference begins to drop away. Now this is quite a nice graph really, because let's take the pink torque line. That's what you feel. The 4.2 with all the TVR bits is not really dropping in torque very much until 4,500 revs, and even then it doesn't drop much. Whereas the 4.6, that drops from 3,800, it just continues to steadily drop down. Now that's the engine wanting more air, but it isn't able to get it. The valves are smaller, the ports are smaller, the throttle body's smaller, and of course it's a bigger engine trying to get all that air. So that is really limiting the flow into the engine at high RPM, where it's maximum flow rate required. So the 4.2 has a much more level torque curve, but it's lower down. So a number of things. I did actually have those heads in my garage for my friend, and I had a look at them, and I found the valves were leaking, so I lapped the valves in. Obviously we found the damage on the bore in the 4.2 as well, and I noticed the inlet gasket was impinging because it's got really aggressively ported heads, and inlet runners are huge, and the inlet gasket was really sticking out into the airflow, so really significant restriction, which we can easily get rid of. So the 4.6 with the TVR bits, we're going to see a good improvement. I think that should easily approach 240, 250 horsepower, which is really cool. So this result then, 212 horsepower. The standard Range Rover 4.6 had 225, so we're pretty close to it really. We're about 12 horsepower and a half horsepower down, and it had 280 foot-pounds, and we're only again sort of 11 or 12 foot-pounds down on the standard 4.6. So not bad really. So that Range Rover would have had cast iron manifolds, which would be worse, but it would have had the better injection system without the flapper, so that would have been a bit better, you know. So yeah, I think this is showing that it's a pretty healthy engine. So I'm confident now when we get those heads on. I've lapped the valves in. We're going to have the heads and the bottom end reunited, so we'll be up to the 9.8 compression ratio definitely. We can sort the inlet gasket out as well. It really should be an absolutely it should be great. 4.6 in that TVR Chimera 450 was supposed to make 285 horsepower, but I don't think we're going to be too close to that, because we have different exhaust manifolds. Although the headers on Tony's car are pretty good, I don't know if those are better or not on the TVR. Plus he's got the flapper AFM, which is a bit of a restriction, although it is the 4.2, so it's bigger, but the TVR would have had a hot wire system or some other means of measuring airflow. And of course the last and fairly significant thing is it would have had a fairly wild cam in that TVR, but Tony wants to stick with a standard cam, so we will have the big valves, big inlet runners, big throttle body, but a standard cam. So I think if we got near 250, that'd be fantastic really. Over 240, that might be a pretty good result. So I look forward to showing you the results when we get the TVR heads back on the 4.6. That'll be another video.